بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. طيب, last week we finished the salat of the one who was sick, right? How to pray if you're sick. Now today the chapter is the chapter of shortening the salat. When can we shorten the salat or combine the salat? When traveling. Like, he's going to get into the details. And it's important to understand the asl, the ruling on what's on shortening the salat, number one. And secondly, the origin of the salawat. We got to keep in mind what's the origin of the prayer and why can we shorten and what's the benefit of shortening and everything connected to it. قال رحمه الله فصل يسن قصر رباعية في سفر طويل مباح. He says yusan. Sunnah is what? Recommended, meaning that it's not obligatory. That's number one. It's important to understand because sometimes arguments break out because somebody didn't shorten the salat. So brothers start arguing because they didn't shorten, they didn't practice the sunnah. If they didn't practice the sunnah, at the least, not that it's okay, but the salat is valid. The salat is valid and everything is fine. Worst case scenario, you missed out on practicing the sunnah of shortening the salah. Is it worthy of an argument? It's not worthy of an argument. So he says, the sunnah recommended to shorten the ruba'iyah. The only prayers that are shortened are prayers that are 4 rak'ah. You can't shorten a 2 rak'ah prayer. Like what? Fajr can't be shortened. You can't shorten prayers that are 3 rak'ah, maghrib. The only prayers that can be shortened are the ruba'iyah, the 4 rak'ah prayers. So even if you fall into these different situations, you're not going to shorten Fajr, ever. Fajr is not to be shortened. You can't shorten Fajr and say, well, I'm going to shorten it because of one of these reasons, just pray 1 rak'ah, right? And you can't shorten maghrib either. So the only prayers that can be shortened are the prayers that have 4 rak'ah. Tayyib, which are Dhuhr, Asr, and Isha. They can be shortened. The other 2 can't be shortened. Tayyib. Now he describes, as he says, Fi safarin tawil mubah. Fi safar, if a person is traveling, Tayyib, a person is traveling. And of course the travel, because the author didn't mention the conditions or the stipulations of the travel. The travel has to be a certain distance. How far? How far does a person have to travel? In our terms, 50 miles or more. Anything under 50 miles is not considered traveling. Anything under 50 miles is not considered traveling.
Time doesn't play a factor?
Nah. He said, does time play a factor? No. You figure if time played a factor, sometimes getting from one end of the city to the other end of the city, right? It could take an hour, depending on traffic, right? Or it could take an hour to drive 50 miles, right? So it's not based on time, it's based on distance. So it says, number one, that the travel has to be long enough, right? Long enough in this case, as they say, the ulama say 80 kilos, but we don't use kilometers, so it's say approximately 50 miles or more it needs to be. So if it's not 50 miles or more, then you're not shortening the salah. Because the origin of Salat al-Dhuhr is that it's how many rak'ahs? 4. The origin of Asr is 4. The origin of Isha is 4 rak'ah. In order for us to shorten and cut that, to come off of the asl, we need a valid reason. all right? You need a valid reason to come off the origin. Not just any reason gives us the okay. Now the question is, where do we get these valid reasons from? Huh? The Quran and the Sunnah, the text, the revelation. Quran and the Sunnah dictates to us when we're allowed to shorten. What's a valid reason? What's not a valid reason? Tayyib? Clear?
Yeah, the 50 miles is from your actual house or from your city? Or
50 miles from the city. So let's say the end of your
county city limit.
Yeah, your end of your city limit. 50 miles from there. Tayyib, he says the travel is long enough and that it's a permissible thing that you're traveling for. You're not traveling to do some disobedience, not traveling to do some haram. Clear? Meaning, if a person makes the intention of the trip is to go to do something haram, then they can't shorten the salat. Clear? Now, what if a person's intention is not for the haram, but when they get there, they fall into some disobedience? That's a different situation. A person who says they have the intention, they're going to Vegas to gamble, right? They're going to Vegas to gamble. That's the purpose of the trip. If I bump into some people out there, gee, but the purpose of the trip is for haram. And at this point, they're not allowed to shorten. A shorten is what the ulama describe as a rukhsa. A rukhsa is a pass that goes against the normal ruling of something. The normal rule of dhuhr is that it's 4 rak'ah, and the normal rule of asr, and the other one that is 4 rak'ah. We'll give us a pass. We get a pass in this case. So if you're doing a haram, you get a pass too? No. They say no, the person is doing a haram, but the intention of traveling to do the haram, they don't get that pass. Clear? Tayyib. He says, وَيَقْضِي صَلَاةَ سَفَرٍ فِي حَضَرٍ وَعَقْصُهُ تَامًا. Tayyib. It's possible a person's traveling, and while they're traveling, right, they fit all the requirements. They travel and they meet all the requirements to shorten the salat, make dhuhr 2 rak'ah, right? And they travel and they forget to pray dhuhr. They forgot while they was traveling to pray dhuhr and they went back home, right? They were traveling, it was time to pray dhuhr, right? That means they can do what? They're allowed to shorten the salat. They forgot to pray. They left, got on the road, they get home, they say, Dad, I ain't prayed dhuhr. Right? Clear? Tayyib. What do they do in that case? Can they still shorten it, or do they have to pray all 4? They have to pray all 4. They have to pray completely. As they say, al-hadar, your residency takes precedence over your travel. The fact that you're back home and you're comfortable in your situation, that takes precedence over the traveler. So the reason for you shortening has been removed because you're home. And you put that over, we put that over actually shortening the salah. Clear?
So say you basically saying like when you come back from vacation, like when you get back home, you still had to pray the 4 rak'ahs, right? Since you're home now, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
But in this issue, a person, they forgot they were praying, they were trying to pray dhuhr or asr, whatever it was, and they was on the road, they was traveling, they wasn't back yet, right? And we know, since now we know, we like, yo, I'm on the road, I'm shortening. Because it's not just shortening, we're gonna get to the next one, which is the combine also. I'm shortening, because it's easier. 2 rak'ahs is easier than 4, right? So he say, I want to shorten while I'm on the road. They talking, they forget, they back home. Dang, I forgot we gotta pray, like, you gotta pray now that you're back. So now the fact that you're back home, you have to pray the entire salah. You can't shorten it. All right?
Thanks. Are you only considered a traveler, like say you're going somewhere and let's say you're going to New York and you stay in New York. When you go to New York, I know while you're traveling, you're considered a traveler. While in New York, would that be considered your resident or are you still considered a traveler?
We're gonna get there. Inshallah. Tayyib. So you forgot to pray while you were traveling, then you got back home and remembered you didn't pray dhuhr while you were traveling, you got to pray all 4. Tayyib, you pray in dhuhr, or let's say, what time is dhuhr? The adhan is at 12:15, right? We're going to New York. We're going to New York on the 29th, inshallah. We're going to New York. So at 1 o'clock, we all meet up. We say, yo, we all going to meet down where we're going to meet. It's 1 o'clock. Is it time to pray Dhuhr? Dhuhr coming at 12:15. So it's time to pray Dhuhr. It's 1 o'clock. So we say, all right, we all going to meet such and such at 1 o'clock. We meet at 1 o'clock, right? And we all pull out. We get on the road. Now we're traveling. None of us pray Dhuhr. None of us pray Dhuhr. Clear? So what we going to do? We're going to pull over and pray. We shortening or we praying all four?
Praying all for it.
Why?
When you left, you wasn't, because when it came in, you wasn't a traveler.
There you are. When the salat was, when the adhan was established, when it was time for the adhan, the salat was obligatory on all of us. Dhuhr became obligatory on all of us at the adhan, and we were all home in our resident locations, our city. So it became obligatory on us while we were residents, so we have to pray as if we were a resident, even though we're on the road right now, based on when it became obligatory on us. Clear? Tayyib. So now it mentions 3 times when you can't shorten. 3 times when we're not allowed to shorten. Tayyib. He says, وَمِن نَوَى إِقَامَةً مُطْلَقًا بِمَوْضِعٍ. Whoever travels somewhere and they plan to go there and just stay. Right? People move. I'm moving down wherever I'm moving to. Right? I'm moving to VA. I'm moving to DC. I'm moving to Maryland. I'm moving somewhere. They go down there and they plan to stay. Are they still a traveler? But I'm really from Philly though.
No.
I'm from, right? I'm from Philly, but I'm moving to Atlanta. Right? If they plan to move to Atlanta, then they become a resident of Atlanta. You can't just go to Atlanta and say, even though I'm from Philly, right? This is not my original place that I'm a traveler the whole 15, 20 years and I'm gonna stay here. You move to that place with the intent of moving, I'm moving to such and such, you become a resident. So in that case, once you move, you can't shorten the salat. Clear? Everybody clear? Something?
Question though, especially in these days and times, there's a lot of people have like 2 or 3 different residents. So,
You said it, you already answered the question. Fuck, keep going, messing.
so they really, I mean, they might travel a lot, so they really ain't got a particular home. You see what I'm saying? So how would that,
They don't have a particular home?
you know, they might have a spot in Philly. They might have a
Just
spot
their
in-
house?
Say both of them is their house, so they got 2 wives, they travel back and forth out of state.
JD.
So how do you handle that? And I mean, they really travel like every 3 or 4 days. They're not like, they're not like here for a month, 2 months, you know what I'm saying, and going back.
Before I answer that, what's the safest thing to do? Was no argument.
You're a resident.
No, what's the safest thing to do?
Pray
Pray all 4. That's the safest thing. There's no argument if you pray all 4. At the least, if you prayed them all completely, you didn't what? What didn't you do?
Miss anything. I mean, you didn't want to.
Which means you didn't practice a sunnah if you fit the description for that sunnah. You with me? Remember, y'all, shortening the salat is not something that is obligatory on every person to do. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you're going to violate the salat and all that. Right? So let's just say a person, because a person, they might miss all of this information. Somebody might not get all of this that we're talking about. Bottom line, if you didn't shorten the salat and you were traveling, it would be no problem. Nobody's going to argue with you that you can't pray a complete prayer. You with me? That's not the argument. The argument is, when can you shorten? Do you fit the description to shorten or not? So if you're confused, then don't put yourself in the gray area, pray the full prayer. If a person is traveling back and forth and like that, let's finish this and see if it comes clear.
You got a question online. Sister said, is it okay for a wife to drive alone in a vehicle to her husband in another state? Can the wife ride alone on a bus or a plane to her husband in another state or country? The wife doesn't like to do this, but the husband says it's permissible since the travel time is not over a night and a day. Plus, he'll be at the station to receive her. Is this correct?
Let's do that later, inshallah. That's a long question. A long time. That's the first one. You can't, if a person intends to move somewhere, they're not just a traveler the whole time you move into another place, you become a resident. The second time, a person cannot shorten. He says, oh, akthar min arba ayyam. A person goes somewhere, you go somewhere, your intent is to be there more than 4 days. You're going somewhere, you're gonna be there more than 4 days and you don't shorten. Which means if you're there, how many days you can shorten? 3, 2, 1, I can shorten. If I know I'm gonna be there more than 4 days, then I don't shorten. Clear?
Are you gonna get into the reason why it's 3 days?
No.
So, is, if you can't shorten no days or after the 4th day, you can't shorten?
If you go in there and your intent when you leave is that you're gonna be there for more than 4 days, then you're not gonna shorten.
No days.
You're not gonna shorten.
If you seeking business
Mm.
and you're there longer than 4 days, but your intention is you got a business trade, like you're there for business,
Mm.
do you still shorten them or are you considered a resident? Is this different? Like I'm
What will
there-
make it different though? The fact that you're there doing business?
Yeah.
I'm on vacation, it don't make a difference. I'm going to New York, or I'm going to Virginia, or I'm going to South Carolina for vacation, and you going to South Carolina for business, we both leaving from Philly.
So the rule for 4 days is still the
The
same?
ruling applies, it's for everybody. The ruling is across the board for everybody. The difference here, and 4 days is specified, as opposed to, it says you know you're gonna be there for 4 days or more, right? You know you're gonna be there more than 4 days. What if a person goes somewhere and they don't know how long they're gonna be there?
Line to that 4th day or the 3rd.
You with me? I don't know how long.
That's,
That's a different question.
yeah, that's,
That ain't because I'm there on business.
yeah. I don't know how long.
I go somewhere and I don't know how long I'm gonna be there. I planned on being there for 2 days. It's been a week. That's not the same as a person who knows I'm going there, we're going there from this day to this day. We're gonna be there for 6 days. A person goes and they go somewhere, wherever they travel, and they don't know when they're gonna come back, that's a different situation. They don't take the same ruling as the person that knows they're going for a specific amount of time, 4 days or more than 4 days. Clear? طيب, that's the second person, as he says, أو أكثر من 4 أيام أو اتم بمقيم أتم. Or you go somewhere, you're traveling, it's time to pray. So you say what? Alhamdulillah, we traveling, so we shorten it. We go in the masjid, we pray with the jama'ah, and the imam prays 4 rak'ah. That means you, even though you're traveling, you're following the imam that's praying 4 rak'ah, that means you pray 4 rak'ah. Clear? You're traveling, the imam is a resident. You can't shorten the salat while you're behind the imam that's a resident imam. You have to follow the imam and pray the 4 with the imam. Meaning once the imam gets up to stand next to you, you don't just salam out and then walk off and say, no, we all traveling. No, you follow the imam to the end of the salat.
So what in the case if, let's say you traveling and you leave Salat and you pray, would you pray as a traveler still? If you praying behind a bunch of residents?
G, what you mean? If a bunch of residents praying behind you.
Yeah, that's what.
If you're traveling and they let you leave the salat, then that's your option. You can shorten. But if you do something like that, you need to let the people know, because everybody, y'all gotta understand, everybody doesn't know what we talking about right now. Everybody doesn't know that.
They have before.
Yeah, so people gonna think you salammed out, and people might salam out with you who residents, they don't know. So a lot of times, a person will tell them, I'm traveling, so whoever's a resident, they have to stand up and complete the salat. If I'm the imam or you're the imam and you're traveling, you can shorten, you have that option. Right, but if you go and pray behind somebody else that's not traveling, you don't have the option anymore. Once you pray with the jama'ah, you're under the responsibility of the imam, so you complete the salat behind the imam. طيب. He says, and these are the 2 situations he goes back to when a person is allowed to shorten. He says, وَإِنْ حُبِسَ ظُلْمًا. If a person is traveling and then it switches, their situation is going to change, right? They're traveling, and let's just say they get locked up, they get pulled over for a false identity. It's a what they used to call them, Johns? It's what's the Johns?
I know what you're talking about. The joint they stop everybody. Traffic stop.
Yeah, what's some taftish? Yeah, what's that? You don't know.
Checkpoint.
Checkpoint, yeah. They got checkpoints on the road and they picking people out, random people, and they checking people and searching people, right? They hold you up. They sit you over there. They hold you, right? It could be days, depending on what's going on. This person doesn't know when they're gonna be, they turn into the other case. I don't know when I'm going back. I'm traveling, but I don't know when I'm going back. This person can shorten the salat. Clear? It's not like the first person, I know I'm gonna be here from this day to this day, it's 4 days, it's 2 days, it's 3 days, right? This person doesn't know when they're returning. Hold that. They don't know when they're returning. So when you don't know you're returning, when you're traveling and you don't know your return, it's allowed to shorten. When you're traveling and you know, I'm gonna be there for 2 days, okay, I got the 4 day, I'm gonna be there 4 days, 3 days, okay, I got shorten. I'm gonna be there 6 days, I know I'm gonna be there for 6 days, I got the hotel booked for 6 days. I'm gonna be there for 6, 7 days, and you don't shorten. Clear? So if a person gets held up, say locked up, held, whatever you wanna call it, he says, "Oh, lam yanwi iqamatan qasara abadan." A person gets pulled to the side, and this is the one he was talking about. A person goes for business. I don't know. If I finished my business today, I'm going back today. Right? If I'm finished in 2 days, I'm going back. Clear? I don't know when I'm gonna be finished. If you don't know when you're gonna be finished, then a person is allowed to shorten, as long as they're there. Clear? It's a difference, y'all. I don't know when I'm gonna be finished. I don't know when my trip is coming to an end. That's not like the same person who knows we going to Florida for 7 days, and you book a hotel from the 20th to the 28th at this place. You got a hotel, you got a room down there, you got to rent a car, you're gonna be there. They're not the same people.
Basically, if you don't know on the 4th day, you start picking up regular.
If you don't know,
Yeah.
what you mean?
If you don't know how long you're gonna be there,
Mm-hmm.
and then it comes to 4 days.
It could be less than 4 days.
No,
Right,
he
you
said
don't
you
know,
go
and you
over
go
the
to 4
4
days.
You start praying regular.
All 4 of them.
La.
You
So you don't know, and you on the 4th, 5th, 6th day, still praying.
I'm still going.
Oh, all right.
I could be there a month.
Oh, all right.
If I'm there a month, I don't know when I'm coming back. I was supposed to have been back 2 weeks ago. You get what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on. That person is not the person. They're not the same. That's why you got to distinguish it. That's not the same person. You get your whole family together, and we all going down Florida from the 20th to the 29th. And we're going to be staying in this hotel. You got to rent a car, and you're going to be there. It's not the same person. They're not going to be shortening for 9 days. Because you know you're going to be there, how many? More than 4 days.
So if they're gonna be there for 9 days, right, do they short for 3 days and then return after that? Or do
What y'all think?
or do they, if you know what, I know you
Yeah.
know.
You don't get no shorter.
If he knows that,
If you're going for more than 4 days, don't shorten at all. Don't shorten at all. If you're going for more than 4 days, don't shorten. If you don't know what you're doing, if you, for example, you might say, I gotta run down to Baltimore real quick and come back. That's traveling. Baltimore's traveling, right? Or I gotta go further. You get down there, you stuck there. I'm gonna stay overnight. Even right now, you're in the 4 day, right? Next thing you know, I'm still down here. It's a week. You had 7 days. You still shortening? Huh?
Yeah.
Are we still shortening? We still shortening. Why?
Because you don't know.
I don't know when I'm coming back. I was supposed to have been back. I was supposed to go down there the first day and come back.
I got a question though. As far as if you don't, you're gonna be there though, how about exactly when you're actually on the road though, you still short though?
When you're on the
On
road,
the road, or does that apply when you get, like, you can't short when you get rested, when you actually get to the location, or does it apply when you're actually on the road as well?
so the question is, when does the travel start? That's the question.
When you out of 50 miles.
Once you leave, right, once you leave your city limit, 50 miles after that, you're on the road, period. All that's travel
So
worthy.
from what I'm saying, from 50 miles till you get to the actual location you're supposed to be traveling to, if you know that you're gonna be there long, you
Right.
can on the road, right?
Right,
Okay.
on the road, once you get there, all of that counts.
So it's exactly 4 days. Like you said, 4 days was like on the 4th day, you still a traveler?
Say it again.
On the 4th day, you still a traveler?
Akthar min arba ayyam, more than 4 days. More than 4 days. What happens if you're confused, y'all?
Praise for the Lord.
Pray for it. Keep it, just to keep it, because you always need something to fall back on. Nobody's gonna argue that if I pray all 4 dhuhr for dhuhr, you know what I'm saying? That's not valid. I gotta pray over.
So what if like you said, you get caught up and let's say you go down, like you said, you go to Baltimore, your car break down and you stuck down there for a week and then boy tell you a weekend like 2 more days and you should be out of here.
You sure? 2 more days? You already been down there a week. You don't know.
Alright.
That's not a definite.
Ain't nothing definite, right?
As long as it's not definite. That's what y'all want. What you don't want to do is you don't want to base it on scenarios. Take the qaida. The principle is I don't know when I'm coming back. Period. I don't care what happened. I'm stuck on a boat fishing. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I don't know when I'm coming back. What can I do? Can I shorten? Yes, I can. Do you have to? You don't have to. But can I? I can. I'm gonna be there for 2 days. I can shorten. I'm going there for a 7-day vacation, 8-day vacation. I'm coming back, and I'm not shortening that.
I don't want to say I was of the understanding, but I was always taught that traveling was based, it wasn't something that was concrete such as the 50 miles. It was based on what that person considered to be traveling, such as if a person is a salesman, which is common, and he works in New York. So he makes this run every day. He doesn't consider it traveling because this is his normal every day. It's over 50 miles, but to him, it's not traveling. Another person may pack a lunch, they may have to prepare, they may have to do all of these things to make this New York trip, but him, on the other hand, this is his normal every day. I was always of the understanding that traveling was contingent on the person who's traveling. What's considered traveling to you? And this 50 miles, that was just one opinion.
Jade. Thuggy. You said that's one opinion. That's the opinion we reading from. We're reading from the opinion of what? The author. 50 miles, right? You're traveling. That's clear because that's the end of the chapter of traveling. Those are you gotta apply the principle to the situation, not a bunch of situations and then see if it fit. Use the principle. Whatever the situation is, use it. How many days you gonna be there? Do I know when I'm coming back? Am I traveling this many miles? Is it permissible what I'm traveling to go there for? If I fit all that, I'm good. If I don't know, if I get foggy, I can't remember, then I just pray in regular. Because it's not like you have to pray. Of course you should, as soon as the Prophet says something. But if you get confused, the asl of the dhuhr is that it's 4 rakat. That's the asl. The rukhsa, the pass, the leeway in the deen is that, okay, if we're traveling, we fit these conditions, we can shorten it because it's easier. So we won't have to keep stopping, right? We won't have to stop and pray for it. It's easier. So we can do that, but make sure we fit the description to do that. But what you're talking about, which the author didn't get into and we're not going to get into, is the other opinion is what is traveling. Everybody doesn't agree that 50 miles is the case, but that's a different situation. I don't want to go into that. Some say, as you said, depending on not one person, what the people consider traveling. But that's a whole nother bath that we don't want to get into. Because you might hear people say specifically, you might hear somebody say, no, it's not far enough for us to shorten. Brothers get into arguments over this stuff, y'all. Brothers traveling together in the same car, they get into arguments over this. And they got to get in the car and be quiet, and everybody get on their phones. So argument because we stopped and the brother didn't want to shorten the salat. He telling we ain't traveling. Where you get that from? That's bit out. You ain't. Who said you got to travel this long? Sheikh listen to me. You ain't following the sheikh. We going to all that. When in reality, it's more. It's room. It ain't that. It's not that deep for us. It's not that deep. But he moves to the next issue. What is deep is coming off. What is important is to come off the origin of something. To remove something, to remove and break the origin of something, you need a reason, not just here. Islam has usul, have foundations and principles that are laid down. In order for us to come off of those foundations, we need reasons for them, valid reasons that have been laid out by the Sharia, the text, the Quran and the Sunnah, right? This is a summarized book, so he doesn't go into all of that, but it's a reason it says 4 days. Okay, it's text. It's a hadith. It's stuff connected to all of it. What did the scholar do? The scholar comes knowing all of those texts. knowing all of the text connected to the issue, as he talked about making tarjih, and being able to go back and say, this is the most correct to him, to this shaykh, he goes back and he summarized all of that text in one line. That's what an alim does. The scholar summarizes all of those hadith and ayat and the understanding of the salaf, and all the understanding summarized into one line. It's recommended to shorten 4 rak'ah prayers if you're traveling a long enough prayer, and it's permissible. That's a permissible travel, that's it. Based on what? That's another level book. The next level book will give you the hadith that's connected to all of that. طيب. قال رحمه الله. It says, وَيُبَاحُ لَهُ الْجَمْعُ بَيْنَ الظُّهْرَيْنِ وَالْعِشَاءَيْنِ بِوَقْتِ إِحْدَاهُمَا. Now he moves to the issue of combining the salat. Combining the salat. Combining the salat has also times and reasons for it. Can't just combine whenever you feel like combining. If we don't know what combine is, he's going to specify. He says, yubah. Yubah. We know what ibaha is. We know what is wajib. Obligatory. Haram. Not permissible, impermissible. Sunnah. Recommended. Makruh. Disliked. Mubah. Is important.
It's permissible.
Huh?
It's permissible. There's no halal haram connected to it.
It's open. Huh?
There's no reward or punishment.
There's no reward connected to it. There's no punishment connected to it. Yubah. You can do it. You don't have to do it. Why is this important? If brothers don't, you go to some brothers, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? You go somewhere, the imam don't combine, they don't bid out there. I ain't praying down there. Because he didn't combine. What's the hukum on combining the salah? You back, you can do it, you don't have to do it. You hear what I'm saying? We go somewhere, they shout out, wow, they don't even combine. That's a whole issue. Like he combine, shake is raining. Just like that, he combines, it's raining, he combine. So when it rains, we combine? Yeah, sunnah. Right? Just like that. And now give a whole masjid and the whole imam of masjid a label because he didn't do something that is you can do it or you don't have to do it. You back. You dig what I'm saying? He says you back without al jam'u. You can combine between a dhuhrain, the 2 dhuhrs. 2 dhuhrs. What are the 2 dhuhrs? How many dhuhrs do we have? 1 or 2. What's the 2? Dhuhr and Asr. Dhuhr and Asr, they call them dhuhrain. It's permissible to combine between Dhuhr and Asr, right? You can pray, combine the Dhuhr and Asr, and it's also permissible to combine between the 2 Ishas, Maghrib and Isha. Meaning, and then the next part explains it, biwaqt ihdahima. In either, you can pray Dhuhr and Asr at the time of Dhuhr. That means you pulled Asr outside of its original time, right? You need a reason for that. Everybody with me? You need a reason not to pray Asr in its original time. You need a reason, a valid reason not to pray Dhuhr in its original time. Allah told us in the Quran that the salat has a designated time. How you going to pray the salat outside of its designated time? Based on what? What gives you the ability to do that?
You sleep.
Possibly. And that wasn't a question, but rhetorical question, right? Point being, you need a reason for it, right? A valid reason, right? So now he says you can combine either between Dhuhr and Asr, or you combine between Maghrib and Isha at one of the 2 times, or you could pray Dhuhr and Asr at the time of Asr. That means you did what? You delayed Dhuhr out of its time and you prayed in a different time.
Say it again.
You can pray Dhuhr with Asr at the time of Asr. That means you delayed. You didn't pray Dhuhr until Asr time. That means you took Dhuhr outside of its time. Clear? Everybody with me? Or you can do the same thing for Maghrib and Isha. You can pray Maghrib and Isha at the time of Maghrib. Or you can pray Maghrib and Isha at the time of Isha. Clear? What about Fajr? You never combine Fajr. You never combine Fajr with anything. All right, Fajr is never combined with anything. You only combining either Dhuhr and Asr together, either at one of the two times. Either you're going to pray Dhuhr and Asr at Dhuhr, or you're going to pray Dhuhr and Asr at Asr, or you can combine Maghrib and Isha at Maghrib, or you combine Maghrib and Isha at Isha. Those are two options. Clear? Further.
Is there anything like ruling attached to combining Asr and Maghrib?
No.
Oh, niggas.
No. طيب. Now he goes into, pay attention because it's two separate situations, y'all. Right now, we're talking about combining what? Dhuhr and Asr, or combining Maghrib and Isha. طيب. For who and when? He says you can combine these for, he says, وَلِمَرِيضٍ وَنَحْوِهِ يَلْحَقُهُ بِتَرْكِهِ مُشَقَّةً. For the person that's sick, if a person is sick, and they're going to find difficulty for themselves to get up, make wudu, pray, right, throughout the day, especially like, say, for example, especially that sometimes when Dhuhr and Asr is real close sometimes, right, or if it's far away. The point is the sick person, it becomes difficult on them to get up again, make wudu, clean themselves, and then pray. In this case, this person is allowed to do what? Combine. Y'all gotta pay attention because this ain't no game. This is deen. Sniffles is not sickness, y'all. Your nose running. If you're able to get up and shoot to the store and still go shopping, you can do everything else you've been doing regular, but you can't pray the salat on its regular time. It's on you. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying nobody's going to be there. If a person did this, it's going to be on you, Yom Qiyamah. Muslim needs a valid reason not to pray the salat in his original time. You're that sick? I can't stand here and tell you you're not that sick. Are you that sick that you're going to take the salat out of his time and pray in a different time? That's how you feel? That's your job. Not like that. Do you feel that bad you can't pray in his original time? So you're going to take it outside of his time? Are you allowed to do that? Islamically, we're allowed to do that. If the sick person has some difficulty, there's going to be some difficulty on them to do everything to get prepared for the salah. Clear? Everybody with me? That's for the sick person. So the sick person, and it's specific, can combine between which prayers? Dhuhr and Asr or Maghrib and Isha. If that sickness is going to cause some difficulty, then they can combine between the two at one of the two times. Right? Now, what's the question is, which time do you combine them at? If I'm combining Dhuhr and Asr, do I pray them at Dhuhr time or do I pray them at Asr time? Huh?
Either or.
Either or. طيب. Which one is better?
Dhuhr.
Why?
Because then it's like, what if you start feeling better? And then too,
What if you start feeling better?
that's what I would feel like. You feel me? I would rather pray Asr with Dhuhr than pray Dhuhr with Asr.
Why? I just want to know.
Because it's kind of like risky. I don't know. Even though I'm combining, it still would just be like risky. Like I'm leaving Dhuhr and just waiting until Asr. I don't know. That's just.
You got a valid reason. Ain't no risky reason.
If it's difficult, from the beginning, if you're sick, and you're able to play Dhuhr, then it would make sense to just put Asr with it to get it out the way, because you're already sick.
Right.
That's the purpose that you're combining from the gate.
Jay, whatever is easiest for you at that time. You can do either one. But if it's easier for your situation, you meet all the requirements. It's easier for you to pray them now at Dhuhr. For example, you're sick, but at Dhuhr you have more strength. Right? That's easier than pray them both at Dhuhr. Say when Dhuhr comes, you're done. You can't even get up. Right? You say, I'm going to get up. Right? Then it might not be the easiest to pray at Dhuhr. Clear? Clear? The sick person can combine what? Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha. La. No, I'm not saying. طيب. Pay attention, because the second section is where we got a lot of issues. طيب. Dhuhr and Asr, or Maghrib and Isha, can be combined for who? The sick person. طيب. He says, وَبَيْنَ الْعِشَاءَيْن. بَيْنَ الْعِشَاءَيْن. What's the two Ishas? Maghrib and Isha. He says, well, Maghrib and Isha can be combined. Listen to the reasons. لِمَطَرْ وَنَحْوِهِ. For rain and things connected to rain. Now, right there, Maghrib and Isha can be combined for rain. So what about Dhuhr and Asr? Can Dhuhr and Asr be combined for rain?
Going to the author, no.
According to the author, no. Dhuhr and Asr is not combined for rain. Dhuhr and Asr is not combined for rain. Dhuhr and Asr is combined for what? Sick. Clear? You go into a masjid, it's Dhuhr, it's raining outside, the imam don't combine. That's the problem we got. The problem we have is we leave out of there and you're supposed to combine for everything. It's raining, sunnah. Right? They shout out, they don't even combine. That's how we are. That's what we, you know. Am I tripping or not? You heard that? I know you heard it before. Tell you, why didn't the imam combine Dhuhr and Asr and it's raining? It's an issue. That's an issue. It's not just the author shooting from the hip. No, this is all based on text. The book we're reading doesn't mention the text intentionally because of the level book. Entry-level books don't mention all of the level. This book is written like this for a specific purpose, intentionally. So, Dhuhr and Isha is combined for, Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha. So right now we're talking about Dhuhr and Asr. Dhuhr and Asr are not combined for rain, according to the author. What's combined for rain? Maghrib and Isha. What type of rain? That's what you're going to get into. Limatrin wa nahwihi. He says rain, and he says, and things like rain, which they mention. What's like rain, y'all? Snow. We call it, inclement weather. Inclement weather. Snow, or of course maybe ice, right? And they're going to get into if it's too muddy. These are difficult travel conditions, right? It says the rain yabullu thob wa tujad ma'ahu mushaqqa. The rain that is raining hard enough to wet your clothing and is difficult to travel in that rain. This is when Maghrib and Isha is combined for rain. That what? Number one is Maghrib and Isha, not Dhuhr and Asr. Number two is raining, not just a little sprinkle. Right? It's raining enough, it's going to wet you up. Like it's going to wet you. It's going to be, you come in wet. Number three, it's difficult to move around in that rain. It's mushaqqa. Right? In those cases, then you do what? You take Isha out of its original time. That ain't something light. It's combined. You combine? Can I combine? Even if the imam don't combine, can I combine? Right? People do that. Just because the imam don't combine, can I still combine? Right? You're taking Isha out of its original time. Isha has a designated time. In order to remove it out of that time, we need a valid reason. Some argue, this is the argument. What is this based on? Text? A hadith. You can't ignore those hadith and act like they don't exist. Right? Do others say other? Do ulama say other? Some say no. Okay. But there are ulama who specify not just any rain. No, that rain has to meet this, it has to look like this. Based on what? Based on the hadith of the Prophet. They said Layla Mutira. So when he did that, it was a heavy rain that night when he did that combining. Right? It wasn't a sprinkle, a shower we call it. It's showering, or we say it's spitting. Some people say it's spitting, it's just, ain't really nothing going on. Rain is rain, listen. To you, rain is rain. To the ulama, the people of knowledge, rain ain't rain. To the people of knowledge, all rain is not the same. To the ignorant person who don't know, don't know no better, rain is rain, What you gonna do? You dig what I'm saying? Tayyib. It says, so those are the specifics for rain. He says, wali wahnin. If it gets maybe from the rain or from whatever, the snow, whatever the case may be. The roads is mud. All of these are conditions that if the Muslims come out to the Muslims are coming out to the masjid. The men are coming out of their houses, leaving their families to travel to pray with the Jama'ah, like men do. طيب. These situations are a harmful situation. It can be dangerous, right? So it's not restricted to rain. It could be muddy. He says, وَرِيحْ شَدِيدَ بَارِدَ. Or it could be, as we say the hawk is out, right? Hawk is out. But you know, sometimes it'd be so cold when the wind blows, feel like it's cutting, right? It'd be super cold on those days. It's cold out there. They might call a code something downtown. You gotta get all the people off the street. It's not raining and there's no snow, but it's freezing, it's windy and it's cutting and it's dangerously windy and cold. Why? Because it's dangerous, right? All of these things are reasons to combine what? Maghrib and Isha. Maghrib and Isha, not Dhuhr and Asr.
Like the roads flooded, that's included from the rain?
Oh,
Like flooded roads, like.
what you think? Based on this, what do you think? All right, because remember, it's not restricted to rain. If you restricted the rain, so when it's snowing, there's 6 feet of snow outside, or 24 inches of snow, or 3, you know what I'm saying? That's why it says, they mention rain, and he says, وَنَحْوِ, and things like rain, right? Things like rain. Rain is what's mentioned in the hadith. The third, they make qiyas. They make qiyas and say, okay, this fits the same, right? And they come up with the other things. So of course, if the roads are flooded, then it may take the same ruling.
Considering that, maybe, that the author, lived in like an area that may have been like desert area, do they address sandstorms? I know when I was out Vegas, it was sandstorms, like literally, that's extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Sandstorm, especially at night.
Right.
Do we address that in there? Would that be included in that?
He didn't specify, but again, it's not restricted. If you go into all of that, the hadith doesn't mention all of those situations. The hadith mentions rain. So how do they get mud and this and this and this? Anything that falls under that, they use qiyas on it. They say, okay, what was the purpose of the rain? And they say, okay, you find that reason in here, it meets all the conditions of qiyas. They make qiyas and they say, okay, this fits. Because it could be, for example, in our area, we don't get sandstorms. But in another area, they do, and it's dangerous. And it's a weather condition. And with the sandstorm comes high wind. And it could be wintertime high wind, you know what I'm saying? So it would depend on, because he didn't mention it doesn't mean it doesn't fit. Because he mentions a general word, which is nahwi. Things like that, things like rain.
So when he says, basically that you can combine, is this for the person who is in Jama'ah, or like can you do this in the house? Can you do it like you get to the masjid by yourself? Like do you have to pray?
Jay, he gonna get to that,
All right.
inshallah. طيب. He says, so also, rih shadida barida, the strong cold wind. Then he says, la barida faqat illa bilayla mudlima. Not just when it's cold, except if it's a seriously cold night. If it's a seriously cold night, that's one thing. But not just every time it's cold. Not just because it's cold, you combine. But if it's a seriously, you know how it is sometimes, right? We really had, not this year, but sometimes it's like, it's a dangerously cold night. It's dangerous.
Last year, that negative.
Yeah, when it gets like that, in that case, that's a severe situation, right?
I still feel like I'm back on heat.
Yeah, you got the heat up and it's still cold. Those severe situations are what they talk about. They're not talking about normal, it's cold. It's wintertime, it's supposed to be cold. Of course, it's cold every day in the winter. That don't mean you just combine all winter because it's cold, right? But when it gets severe. طيب, he says, وَالْأَفْضَلُ فِعْلُ الْأَرْفَقِ مِنْ تَقْدِيمٍ أو تَأْخِيرٍ. He says the best thing to do is when you're combining, is that you do whatever's easy at that time, whatever's easy. If you're gonna pray, if I'm gonna pray Dhuhr and Asr, if I'm gonna combine Dhuhr and Asr together, if it's easier to pray them at the time of Dhuhr, pray them at the time of Dhuhr. If it's easier to pray them at the time of Asr, pray them at the time of Asr. Whatever's easy for the situation. طيب, he says, وَكُرِهَ فِعْلُهُ فِي بَيْتِهِ وَنَحْوِهِ بِلَا ضُرُورَةٍ. He says, it's disliked to combine in your house. It's disliked to combine in your house, or other than that, without a dire necessity. Disliked to combine the salawat in the house without necessity. Clear? The general thing is if you're in your house, you what?
Cool.
You're cool, you're relaxed, safe, situation is fine, no danger involved. But when might I combine? I might combine in the house if what? If I'm sick, right? But if you're not sick, that's one thing everybody gotta understand. That's on you. Nobody's gonna be inside your house looking at you. If you combine and talking about the brother said you can combine when you're sick. What sickness really put you down? Sick, if you still going to work every day, you don't want to miss that bread. You don't miss no money, but you're going to pull a salat out of time to pray. Maybe you need to. If you need to, then that's what you have to make that call. A person can't stand next to you and say, you ain't really sick. You don't feel that bad. Allah. But we just got to understand is we're making a call based on our salat, a pillar. The first thing we're going to be asked about from our actions, Yom Al-Qiyamah. They have a designated time specifically. For us to pull the salawat, any of them, out of their designated time, right? We need a valid reason. You got to ask yourself, do I feel I fit the description for those reasons to do that? If you do, bismillah. If you don't, remember, it's never an issue. It's no argument if you pray all the salats in their valid time. No argument if they're valid. The argument might be, well, you ain't practiced the sunnah. It's still valid. My salat counts. As opposed to pulling the salat out of its original time without an excuse. Right? That's a problem. Clear? طيب. Now, in the chapter of combining, I missed this at the beginning, I think. I said yubahu, that is mubah, it's open. Yubahu lahu. Who is this open to? Who can combine?
Men.
The men.
See, we missed that. That's my bad. Before this, he started off the chapter talking about the sick person. And the sick person can do what? The sick person can do what? Shorten. Shortening and combining is two different things, y'all. Clear? Shortening the salat, making dhuhr 4 rak'ah is not the same as praying dhuhr in the time of asr. They're two different issues. Clear? So the sick person, right? The traveler, right? They can do what? They can shorten the salat. Shorten. Al-qasr. طيب. He says, وَيُبَاحُ لَهُ الْجَمْعِ. Is also allowed for who? The sick person, the traveler, to combine. The sick person can combine and the traveler can combine. Clear? Everybody with me? طيب. When they combine, should they do what they call taqdeem, or should they do ta'khir? Should they move asr up to dhuhr, which is considered taqdeem? You bring it up, or should you delay it and pray dhuhr at asr? Which one should you do? He says whichever one is easier, whichever is the easiest for the situation. طيب. طيب. Now, say for example, we're going to combine Dhuhr and Asr, or we're going to combine Maghrib and Isha, right? He says, even though he didn't mention details, some detail behind this, he says, وَيَبْطُلُ جَمْعُ تَقْدِيمٍ بِرَاتِبَةٍ بَيْنَهُمَا. What's the benefit of combining the salawat? The benefit of combining is that it's easier for the person. is a form of making it ease. It's a form of ease. طيب. What's the ease? Is that you don't have to wait and then get ready to prepare and possibly, depending on the time of the year, pray again in an hour and a half. Right? Depending. Sometimes you gotta pray again. Salat is an hour and a half. So what you do, you combine and you pray them at the same time, and then you have space, right? You have some time until the next prayer. So now he says, because with all of this combining, y'all, what he didn't mention is you have to have the niyyah to combine. You have to have the niyyah, the intention, to combine two prayers. So for example, if Dhuhr comes, right? If Dhuhr comes, we traveling. We on the road. We say it's time for Dhuhr. We say, man, it don't look too safe out here to be praying. I don't think we need to pray right here. We might as well just, what? We traveling, so we got the option to do what? We got the option to pray at the time of Asr. By the time of Asr, we'll be to where we're going. Right? We'll be there by the time Asr get in. We're going to get there at 4:30. Asr coming at 4 o'clock. So by the time we get there, it'll be time for Asr. Right? Everybody with me? طيب. So a person says, all right, well, in that case, the intention, because if you don't make the niyyah, that means you just delay Dhuhr until Asr. But the intention should be to delay Dhuhr and combine at the time of Asr. Right? Clear? The intention should always be there for what you're going to do. If you're delaying Dhuhr until Asr, JD. If you're delaying Maghrib until Isha, JD. As long as make sure you make the intention. He says that the intent or the option to combine is broken. You break your option to combine if you do what? After Dhuhr, you start praying sunnahs for Dhuhr. After Salat al-Dhuhr, you're trying to do what? You're going to combine Maghrib, or you're going to combine with Asr, right? So a person stands up after Dhuhr and they start praying sunnahs after Dhuhr. Right? He says, nah, in that case, you break the option to combine. What's the benefit of combining? Ease. The ease is that you're praying your obligatory salawat, right? And getting them, not to say like that, but I don't want to say that. Not to get them out the way, but to get them off your back, as we say. That's better. Because they're on our necks. That obligation is on our neck until we do it, we fulfill the obligation. So to get it off your neck, it's allowed in these cases to combine them. Tell you, you stand up and start praying sunnahs after Dhuhr. Right? In that case, they say that you don't have the option to combine. You have a question?
Yeah, can you combine and shorten at the same time?
Can you combine and shorten at the same time? What does that look like? I'm a traveler, right? I'm a traveler, so that means I get the option of what? What can I do? A shorten. I'm a traveler, I can shorten. I'm a traveler, so I can also combine. So now that means that puts me in a situation where we're going to New York. I'm praying Dhuhr and Asr, 2 rak'ah a piece, and I'm praying Dhuhr and Asr at the time of Dhuhr. Or I'm praying Dhuhr and Asr, 2 rak'ah a piece, at the time of Asr. Or I'm praying Maghrib and Isha, Maghrib 3 rak'ah, Isha 2 rak'ah at the time of Maghrib. Or I'm praying Maghrib and Isha. Maghrib is always 3 rak'ah because we can't shorten Maghrib, right? Maghrib and Isha at the time of Isha. So I can shorten and combine, and that's the ni'mah and the ease of Islam. That's why when you're on the road, I'm making a joke, but brothers are serious. Brothers will say, yo, shorten and combine, right? I'm trying to shorten and combine. Because if I shorten and combine, if we traveling, right? If we traveling and Dhuhr is at 12 o'clock and we shorten and combine, that means we don't have to pray until Isha. That means we can move around all day without the worry of having to stop, find somewhere to pray, especially depending on where we at. It might not be no safe place to pray, except in our hotel room. So what we do, we stand up at Dhuhr, we say, we Muslim, y'all, we got to be thinking. We stand up, we say, listen, we're going to go, but let's go after Dhuhr. Why? So we can combine Dhuhr and Asr in the house, in the hotel room, and then we good. By the time we come back at Isha, we can combine Maghrib and Isha at Isha time. It's easy. No time the Muslim just be out somewhere on vacation, and because we down here, we ain't going to pray. You now here 6 days, you ain't gonna pray? All you praying for 6 days is Fajr? And then we leaving out at 7 in the morning because we going to the park. So you ain't gonna pray at the park? We got these passes, we gotta be there by 6. We gotta be at the pass, you gotta be in the park by a certain amount of time or you lose the money. Like, you gonna pray in the park? That's what we need to be thinking. It ain't because we're in the park, we don't know. We're in the park, we need to find somewhere to pray. That don't mean you gotta stand in the middle of everybody and let everybody know we're Muslim, we're gonna pray right here. And listen, no, it's a way to do it. Find somewhere in the cut, boom, somebody prays, somebody stand Sharif. As they used to say, Sheikh. Somebody stand Sharif, somebody stand guard while a couple people pray. They finish praying, the other people stand, watch out, and let them pray. There's no time we leave out the house and we just like, we down here for the weekend. At least I'm praying my Fajr. No, it's a way to do it, right? So we can combine and shorten at the same time. So for a fact that a person stands up and starts praying Sunnah, he says that breaks the option to combine. It says, وَتَفْرِيقٍ بِأَكْثَرْ مِنْ وُضُوءٍ خَفِيفٍ وَإِقَامَةٍ. He said also to take a break between the two prayers you're going to combine, longer than enough time to make wudu or enough time to call the iqamah. This also breaks the option to combine. What's the point of combining? To get your obligatories in now so that it removes the weight of having to do it throughout the day. Because remember, you are traveling. So it is some difficulty along already with traveling. Traveling already has its own difficulty. You're outside of your comfort zone, whatever the case may be. You're going here, you might not have nowhere to pray, whatever comes with the travel you're doing. On top of that, they have to worry about praying on time. And so, alhamdulillah, Islam gave us ease. So don't break that ease up. It's time to pray Dhuhr. You pray Dhuhr, you stand up, call the Iqamah, and then pray Asr and be done with it. طيب. He says, and lastly, وتجوز صلاة الخوف بأي صفة صحت عن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام وصحت من 6 أوجه والسنة فيها حمل السلاح غير مثقل. Now he goes into the permissibility of praying Salat al-Khawf, the fear prayer. Anybody heard of the fear prayer? The fear prayer. And as he says, بأي صفة صحت عن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. It's different ways to pray the fear prayer. As he says that there's 6 different authentic ways on the Prophet ﷺ to pray that prayer of fear. So let's say, for example, if there's a war, if there's an army and they're going to war, literally they're at war. This is deep, y'all. This shows that the salat never just drops off. The men in war have to pray. We're talking about the enemy shooting. It's a war, not like I'm not using a slang term here. It's not a slang term for war. War. They're going to war. They're 2 armies fighting, which means they're shooting at each other, throwing bombs, whatever's going on. That the army, the Muslims there, they're not excused from the salat. How are we not praying and we waiting in line to get on a roller coaster? We having fun and we ain't praying. And the soldier doesn't have the option to leave off the salat. The soldier, when your life is on the line, they don't have the option to leave off the salat. How do we go and do anything that Allah gives us the money, the ability to get there, and alhamdulillah, family ties, having a ball. Alhamdulillah. But then we don't give the salat its due right, the importance. And then we have people putting their lives on the line in jihad. They go to war, right? They have to pray still. It's still no exception, right? But how do they pray? It's a specific way. It's a specific description of the Salat al-Khawf. And there's 6 different types or 6 different ways to pray. He didn't mention all of them, but some of them, it depends on where the people that you're fighting. Which way is the Qibla, right? All the stuff's which way is the Qibla and where's the enemy? Is the enemy in the direction of the Qibla? Meaning, the people that you're fighting are right there, and that's the direction we got to stand and pray. It's a way to pray. It's a certain way to do it. It's deep too, even though he didn't mention it. If the enemy is not in the direction of the Qibla, right? The enemy might be to the back, and you got to turn your back in order to pray. How you gonna see the people, right? So depending on the situation, it's allowed to pray any of them. He says, and lastly, and is recommended, was sunnah fiha, in the prayer, the fear prayer, if the enemy is there, wherever the case may be, it says recommended that a person carries their weapon while they're praying. And they don't put their weapon down as long as the weapon is not too heavy. As long as it's not too heavy. If it's too heavy, it's going to do what? Throw your balance up. It's going to distract you in the salah. You at war. And still, if the weapon is too heavy, don't carry it because it's going to throw you off in the salah. How we walking around, we driving around, we all over, and don't stop and pray. I'm going to make all them joints up when I get in the house. How? And people, and there's a fear prayer for the one who's in a war, real life war, with his life on the line, or her life on the line, right? And they don't have the option to not pray. No, so where you got to pray. So we got to be mindful and serious about the salat. The salat is a pillar. Salat is not something that's optional. Prophet said that a salat was between us and them, meaning the non-Muslims, is the salat. So whoever leaves, abandons the prayer, they have disbelieved. The details on that is a whole different issue, but the fact, it should be enough to understand that what separates and what makes us a Muslim, just be Muslim, is the salat. Allah understand.
Got 2 questions. So is that during the fear prayer the only time it is permissible to pray with your weapon?
Is it only,
Like say somebody got like their license to carry, is it still okay for them to pray with their weapon if it's not necessarily a fear prayer?
it's no prohibition on it,
Okay. That's okay.
but it says here, in this case, is recommended.
All right.
It's recommended to pray here. It might not be recommended to come in a certain places with your weapon. Especially depending on what state you're in. Some of them, they got to be out. They have to be showing. You scaring people and kids and stuff. Scared me. I don't like praying behind people. They got their joint. Like, that's just me. I got to move over to the other side of the ring. That's just me. I don't even throwing me off because joint go off. I don't know what I'm saying. I go over there. If I see it, and if I'm praying and I go into the court and then I see the joint poke from the brother, throw me off.
You got a whole stock, you good.
Oh, man, listen. Allah. It's a machine. Allahu Alam. I move to the other side. I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Second question. So for like you was mentioning jihad, so would say brother Muslim, you go to the army for our country, would that still be considered jihad since you following Catholic leaders?
Allah, I don't know about that.
Alright.
Jihad has rules.
That's what I'm
Jihad
saying.
has specific rules, a whole chapter
And
of rules for a valid, not what people use the word jihad. I heard, I'm gonna be honest with you, I heard people having shootouts on the street, Muslims, telling me, right, we going to jihad, we riding for the akhi. That's what they told me, right? And they shoot us. So it ain't about what the word jihad, it's a whole chapter. Islam has rules for war, what they call rules of engagement.
and that's what I'm saying. 'cause
And
you
if,
know,
I don't know, because I don't know, I'm not gonna go into that, but I'm saying, if it doesn't meet the rules of engagement according to Islam, it don't matter what title you put on it. It has to meet the rules of engagement according to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. That's what the rules of engagement are when it comes to jihad. Not what you call it or he called it, they said it was jihad, no. We have rules and we follow those rules as far as jihad is concerned. If it doesn't fit those rules, then it's not a valid.
So that's what I'm saying. So in that case, if let's say they go to army and it's not a valid, it don't explain it, they're still responsible. All 4 of those guys, they still responsible for their prayer because they don't get the pass.
To pass it what?
The fear prayer.
Prepare for it. Yeah. Before I talk about jihad, they fight for jihad.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
You know, in the first place. They might have a valid war, that's still, but I mean, actual jihad for the sake of Allah, no.
you wanna, before you can go into there, you would have to go through the chapter. It wouldn't really, you need to go through the chapter of jihad first, understand what are the Islamic rules for, and then it'll be easy to determine. No matter what anybody says, it will be easy to determine. The Muslims are not allowed to do this. The Muslims are allowed to do this. The Muslims can't do this. It's all laid out. It fit that or it don't. Just like the Aqidah, just like anything else. We got everything laid out. Either Muslim, you believe this, then you're Muslim. If you don't believe this, you believe some of them, no, you can't. It's this, this, and this. You with me? Any other questions?
What is six, hadith?
What?
Six, fear prayer.
Yes, different hadith on how to pray the fear prayer. I think Ali did them, and I don't know if he did all of them. Zayd al-Mustaqni, he did a class in Zayd al-Mustaqni. Zayd al-Mustaqni is a little more detailed than this. It's a higher level book. It's a little more detailed than this. I think he did them in there. But the author doesn't really go into detail. He just says that, and this is important to let you know how they write. He says it's permissible, the fear prayer, with any of those 6 ways. Any way of the 6 ways. So a person might come and they might pray one. All of them is permissible to do. What's better? It depends on the situation. What's better to do? But any 6 ways that's found in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is permissible to pray. Clear? Any other questions? Sisters? David? Oh man, that's so long time.
The one question was, the long one.
What's after the long one?
After the long one, it says, so if you're visiting for 3 days while you are there, can you shorten? If you reached your destination, can you still shorten?
David, y'all paying attention? The question, if you're a visitor for 3 days, can you shorten?
Yes.
Yes.
David. Why? Because it's not 4 days, right? You get 3 days. You get, how many days you get?
4.
You get 4 days to shorten. If you're confused, you just do what? Pray them regularly. David, what was the second question?
If you reach your destination, you can still shorten.
If you reach the destination, so for example, we leave here, we go to New York, and we're in New York. When you're in New York, are you a traveler? Or are you a resident at your city? You're still a traveler. As long as you're a traveler, even when you get there, as long as you're a traveler, and all the other conditions that we spoke about still are in place, then you can shorten. Shortening and combining, y'all, is not restricted to the road that you travel to get there. It's not like while we're on 95, we can combine and shorten, but once we get off 95, we can't do that no more. No, you're still a traveler. You go down to Florida for 3 days. The whole time you're driving, which is going to be a long time, you're a traveler. That means you can pull over, use the bathroom, and combine and pray Dhuhr and Asr together and pray both of them 2 rak'ah. Then get back on the road, right? Everything, you got to go back and use all of that. As long as you're only going, you're there for 4 days or less, then you combine it and you shorten it, right? You know you're going to be there for 7 or 8 days, then you're doing what? You're praying you're praying your prayers normal. You go somewhere, you don't know when you're coming back, you just in the wind, going with the wind, then what?
Shorten.
You can shorten, you don't have to, but you can.
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you say 7 days I'm going to Florida, I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going for 7 days.
Right.
I'm trapped. Well, not mind. With the traveling, I can now combine.
You with me? You now, traveling to get there is one thing. So for example, I'm going to Florida for 7 days, right? That means while I'm in Florida them 7 days, I'm not shortening, right? I'm not shortening and combining. But what about the drive down to Florida? I'm traveling, right? I'm traveling to my next destination. So my drive down there, I can travel.
Be a traveler for 7 days. You intended to be in
Once
Florida.
you get there.
You with me? Everybody clear? I'm traveling. I'm driving to VA. I'm driving to Virginia. I'm traveling. Once I get to Virginia, I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. I'm staying with my people. I'm staying with family, right? I know I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. I'm not going to shorten my prayer for 2 weeks, but the 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe 6 on traffic, going down to Virginia, I'm traveling. Once I get there, I reach my destination, that's a different situation, right? And the same thing on a plane. Inshallah, we go for Umrah. We're going to be in the air 10, 11 hours. Anybody else want to go to Umrah? If you want to go to Umrah, you got to jump on it now. It's late. We're leaving on the 6th of March, March 6th. We got about maybe 5, 6, 7 seats left, something like that. We're in the air for 10 hours, 11 hours, right? It's gonna be time to pray. They got a musalla on the back, right? You go pray. Once you get there, you're gonna be there 7, 8 days.
You said you got a solo on the back of the mic.
Allah Akbar, yes. Musalla on the back of the plane. It's out of the air. Allah Akbar. Once you get there, you're gonna go in the haram, the masjid haram, at the Kaaba. The imam is praying 4 rak'ah. You're gonna salam out after 2, right? You're gonna pray. The imam he's not traveling, you're gonna follow the imam, right? Even if you're not there, you wake up late and you miss the salat, you're in a hotel room, right? Can I shorten? Right? You get it? But the way there, you're a traveler, whether you're in a train, a plane, or automobile. Planes, train, automobile. Like, anything else? No, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hey, salam alaikum. Yes. Okay.
We know that you were saying that we can't, like, we're traveling and we're staying somewhere long before they never can, we can't shorten this a lot at that point. But the question is, are we still allowed to combine it longer than 4 days, or do that still, is that the same thing? Like, can we combine it after 4, or we can't?
Can you combine after 4 days?
If the conditions is there for combining, right?
Mumtaz. That's the question, right? Can you combine after 4 days?
Yeah, can we combine it after 4 days if we're traveling? We know we can't shorten it, but can we combine it if we're traveling?
Good question. Good question. Pay attention. The gem is for the combine, as he says at the beginning, yubahu lahu. The combining is for the traveler. Right? When does the traveler not become a traveler? After 4 days. So that ends your ability to combine. Clear? The traveler is the traveler as when you're on the road and you get to a place and you got 4 days in that place. If you're going to be there for 6 days, then no. Clear?
That's no one know, right? You're gonna be there for a certain amount.
Yeah, you know you're going to be there for 6 days. Like we go on trips, you go on a trip, you book a hotel, this day, this is just your slot, right? So now the combining and the shortening, both of them, y'all, the combining and the shortening is for the traveler. The combining and the shortening is for the traveler. When am I a traveler? As well, I'm on the road, I know I'm a traveler, right? I meet all the conditions for a traveler. From the conditions of a traveler is that you're there 4 days or less. So if you're there more than 4 days, then you can't combine and you can't shorten. Clear? Inshallah. That's why it's important to to understand the principle good, because the principle can apply to any situation. But if we just sitting around talking, for example, we can come up with a bunch of scenarios, you know what I'm saying? But what's the qaida? The qaida is that in order for me to shorten, I have to do A, B, C, D. Do I fit that? In order for me to combine, I have to do A, B, C, D. Do I fit that or not? All right, let's just say now what you can do is, to see if you understand it, you make up scenarios. You write down the principle and what it's supposed to see, and then you make up a scenario and put it against the qaida. Do that fit? No, you can't do that because it misses this one. You understand what I'm saying? So the shortening and the combining is for the traveler. I'm a traveler as long as I'm going somewhere and I know I'm only going to be there 3, 4 days at tops. Anything after 4 days, I need to complete all of my salats. Once I get there, I need to complete all my prayers. Clear? And if I get confused, if I don't know what to do, if the class wasn't that clear, it confused me, what do? Just pray my salat regular in its time. You can't go wrong with that. Inshallah. Clear? Any other questions? Besides the, yeah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak nabiyyina Muhammad ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. What?